Okay, so we can now move on to checking the tread of the tyre. Make sure you turn the tyre a full 360 degrees here, checking the condition of the tread, obviously for legality, for any lumps, bulges, cuts, tread lifting, etc. We can the sidewall of the tyre, pretty much checking what you did on the other side here, making sure the tyre is correctly seated on the rim, correct direction of rotation, and notice any rim damage as well that you might observe at this particular point. We can now check the rear wheel bearing in the same way as we did at the front by rocking it from side to side and giving it a good old spin, checking for roughness. Taking the straight edge from any machined part of the machine as far as is possible, we're now going to check for run out and lift or eccentricity of the wheel, and this needs to be done from both sides, looking laterally and vertically, remembering that lateral run out needs to be no more than 4mm for steel wheels, 2mm for cast alloy wheels, and eccentricity is going to be 3mm for all wheels. Remember, any serious problems found here, you would not need to do a wheel alignment check for this machine. We can now check the rear brake disc for fractures, for contamination and wear of course, and then have a look in at the rear brake pads, bearing in mind their minimum wear limit is 1mm for purposes. Check the brake caliper itself, and any reaction brackets or torque arms seen here, and then around the rear hose, remembering that should be pressurised to carry out that check. Operate the rear brake several times whilst rotating the wheel to check that the brake is operating as intended. We can check in at the rear brake fluid, remembering you could master cylinder caps, but we can see it through a window here, and then we can pressurise the rear brake so we can check around the master cylinder and associated pipework. Try and get as much of a view as possible of the master cylinder and associated pipework by looking from every angle. We can now continue the assessment by looking at the pillion and rider's foot pegs for security and condition system, and then we can look along the side of the frame on the offside of the machine, the engine mountings, the fuel system, the same as we did on the other side really, just being systematic as we go, making sure we're checking everything that needs to be checked. And that concludes this part of the inspection process.